Ciao and welcome to the Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari for highlights from round 5 of the 2023 VCO Formula SimRacing World Championship, the San Marino Grand Prix. Here's all the news going into the race. The big news going into Imola was the withdrawal of the RHE team, with Liam Duval suffering internet connection issues and Adam Maguire unavailable due to personal circumstances. The duo will be back in action for the next round at Spa-Francorchamps. Networks GP have welcomed back 2022 driver Ivan Leonov, the Bulgarian pro driver filling in for Carlos Martin. Finally, Darius Andre was absent for the second race in a row, meaning pro race winner Loic Moynier makes his World Championship debut for Visceral eSports. Reigning champion Colin Spork secured his first pole position of the season for Alpine, heading Janos Braksok's Brad Marnage. Tom Latiou had qualified a superb third, but a great start from points leader Jerne Simoncic saw him slip around the outside of the Frenchman at Tamburello chicane. Further back, Leonov spun at Tosa as Stavros Muzeidis slotted himself up the inside of Danny Van Den Niet to snatch 23rd at Piratella, with Moynier going around the outside of Netrex into Aqua Minerale. On lap 3, Simoncic cleared Braksok for second as Spork began to stretch his legs in the lead. TX3 were on the move as Janik Bock and Mark Schluter both slipstream past Zolt Zux and Giordano Valeriano for 14th and 17th respectively. Lap 6 and Damien Skovron tried to go round the outside of Van Den Niet. The Dutchman got well over the curb at Tamburello, allowing Skovron's burst Simplexity to pass him going into Villeneuve. The following lap, Jake Dennehan sensed his moment to strike and used some battery deployment and DRS to leapfrog Simoncic for second. Braksok himself, meanwhile, was struggling for pace as Dennis Jordan's Ferrari demoted him to 7th. Then it was the turn of Alex Siebel in the second Ferrari to overtake Braksok, which he did comfortably. The battle for 25th raged on as Cosmo Prosciutto attempted to follow Van Den Niet around the outside of Muzeidis into Tamburello. The Royal Blue driver held his nerve to pull off a spectacular overtake, with a grateful Leonov also sneaking past the valet at Villeneuve. Braksok was now at the mercy of Michi Hoyer, who marched into 8th, as Prosciutto's hard work to pass Muzeidis was instantly undone when the American took a trip across the gravel at Villeneuve. On lap 11, David Mrokcek dispensed from Braksok, but Petr Briliak was not allowed to let the burst driver escape from him, using the outside line to clear the Brad Marnage and challenge Mrokcek for 9th, as the Polish driver covered off the attentions of the Alpine. Jan Grankvist was now also starting to struggle as the Ferrari stablemates of first Jordan and then Siebel powered their way past him in swift succession. On lap 19, Simoncic saw Dennehan leave an opening on the inside and swept through at Tamburello to retake second. 2 laps later, the NX27 driver found himself under attack from Latiou, and it ended in disaster for the race clutch driver as he made contact with Dennehan and spun out. After narrowly being avoided by teammate Robin Panzer, Latiou found himself down in 15th. The way was now clear for Jordan to challenge Dennehan for 3rd, and the Irishman found himself a sitting duck for the Ferrari, which rapidly set its sights on the burst of Simoncic. 9 seconds clear of all this was Spork, who pit from what had been a serene race lead on lap 22, followed by Dennehan. He would emerge 11th behind Panzer, but the Swede would not hold up the Dutchman for long as the Alpine's superior traction saw him through before Piratella. Siebel, Hoyer and Briliak all responded by pitting the following lap, and Simoncic then decided to join them at the end of lap 23. Jordan, however, stayed out. Jukapeka Lalu and Zux were running along and battling hard for 8th, much to the dismay of Simoncic, who emerged behind both of them. Zux began to severely impede Simoncic, with the Slovenian doing incredibly well to avoid the ground effect at Piratella. On lap 26, Simoncic and Dennehan breezed past Zux with DRS, only to discover to their horror that Jordan had overcut both of them by staying out in clear air, to the delight of the Tifosi. Lalu was in between to make matters even worse for Simoncic, who had to get his elbows out by going side by side with the Super Venturi through Tosa. Simoncic immediately began weaving so that Dennehan could not follow him through. The Irishman instead had to wait until the start-finish straight to clear Lalu, by which point the top 3 had broken away and Siebel was now hot on his tail. As Hoyer closed on Lalu for 5th, Zux made a mistake at Variante Alta, which allowed Briliak to claim 7th on the downhill run into Rivazza. Grankvist pit at the end of lap 27 as his teammate Lalu was overcome by both Hoyer and Briliak. Mrokcek in the third of the burst cars was also able to pass Zux, and then Lalu with relative ease. Matthew Williams was having his best race of the season so far, the British driver clearing Zux for 11th on lap 31. Up front, Braxok was another feeling the pain of the one-stop strategy, completely unable to live with the pace of Spork, before then being utterly helpless on lap 33 to hold back either Jordan or Simoncic in their own private championship battle. The following lap, Siebel had worked his Ferrari into DRS range and got the better of Denahan into Tamburello. Then the Bravmanage of Braxok fell into Siebel's lap, allowing the German to move up to a season-high 4th position. Denahan also wasted little time with an opportunistic move on Braxok into Villeneuve. Bock had reeled in Zux's Grand Effect car, and on lap 35 the Hungarian found the TX3 diving up the inside of him at Piratella for 13th. Braxok continued to plummet down the order and had no response to Brilliac and Hoyer, who again demoted him to 8th. Mrokcek was able to catch the Bravmanage driver unawares with a late dive into Tosa. The Hungarian decided he'd stayed out long enough, and on lap 38 he pit for medium tyres. He would emerge 19th, quickly dispensing of Valeriano's valet for 18th. Hoyer had had enough of being stuck behind Brilliac's Alpine, and on lap 42 he used DRS to retake 6th. 2 laps later, Mika Hakimi had Schluter for company in the battle for 14th and had to get defensive to hold the German at bay. Braxok, meanwhile, relieved Sander Kallas's Grand Effect of 16th position. Spork made his final pit stop from the lead at the end of lap 46, as did Jordan and Simoncic. At the end of the following lap, Simoncic employed push-to-pass and DRS to pass the Ferrari. However, 1 lap later and the shoe was on the other foot, with Jordan using the same tools to sweep around the outside of the Slovenian. Hakimi was thrown into the air on lap 51 as he hit the back of Van den Niet at Variante Alta whilst fighting for 15th. Latiu's recovery driver brought him back into the top 10, clearing Grankvist around the outside into Rivazza before setting after Braxok. Hakimi was in the wars again on lap 53, sending Kostas Van Vukas across the gravel. Denahan was having to defend from Hoyer in the sister NX27 with the pair avoiding contact. Grankvist found little resistance from Braxok, who now fell to 11th. With just 3 laps to go, Simoncic had saved his battery for a late charge, catching Jordan off guard on the outside in an assertive and well-judged pass for 2nd. Mrokcek was all over the back of Brilliac for 7th, with the Croatian doing some grass cutting at Variante Alta to stay ahead. Hoyer tried a last-ditch attempt to pass Denahan on the outside on the final lap, but was thwarted by the Irishman's inch-perfect defensive driving. Up front though, Spork had put together an immaculate performance to win the San Marino Grand Prix by 26 seconds, his first win of the season and Alpine's first ever victory in FSR. Simoncic narrowly triumphed over Jordan in a tense duel for 2nd. Siebel took his best result of the season in 4th, followed by Denahan and Hoyer. Mrokcek was able to beat Brilliac on the final lap. Latiu recovered to 9th, whilst Grankvist rounded out the top 10. Williams was 11th after a very respectable drive as Braxok yet again found himself undone by strategy woes. Bock was 13th, followed by Kallas, Lalu, Zux, Panzar, Van den Niet and Van Vukas as Valeriano rounded out the point scorers. Hakimi fell out the points along with Pashito and Musadis as Moynier, Schluter, Skovron, Leonov, Maguli all failed to meet the checkered flag. Simoncic has extended his lead in the Drivers' Championship to 11 points over Jordan with 4 races remaining. Denahan is a further 20 points behind as Spork's victory moves him up to 4th, just 6 points adrift of the Irishman. Mrokcek, Siebel and Brilliac meanwhile leapfrog the absent RH duo of Maguire and Duval. Burst eSports' lead in the teams table remains at 16 points over Ferrari as Alpine moves up to 3rd, 31 points away from the leaders. Super Venturi have also overtaken Arnaud Brabham for 7th, with the Belgian-Australian squad being caught by Burst Simplexity and Race Clutch. So our reigning champion picks up his 6th career victory in dominant fashion to put his and Alpine's seasons back on track. But can the Dutchman now claw back the 37-point gap to Simoncic? We'll find out at Spa-Francorchamps on the 20th of August. But from me, Edward Hunter, and from the Emilia-Romagna region, it's ciao ciao for now.